Hi, so you're here to probably learn about macro and micro content for your digital marketing strategy, or you're looking for new ways to spice up your content marketing strategy. And this is a very brilliant one, using macro and micro content. We'll talk about creating it, organizing it, and how you can publish it, and how it's actually a conversation when you think about it, and knowing that it's a conversation, how then you can spice it up. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's cover what macro content is for starters, and we'll go to micro content and how then we use them. So macro content is long form, quality, and detailed content that takes more resources to produce and consume. So we're talking about long videos, 20, 30-minute videos that have a lot of quality going into them, like a movie. That's long form content, long podcasts that range into the 20, 30-minute range, because these days we have some podcasts that are just 5 minutes that that you cover. But the long ones actually have a lot of context in them. White papers is an example because a lot of detail and thought goes into them. Blogs with tons of words, articles with tons of words and illustrations in them. And the benefits of macro content is you have lots of content to use for posts. So if you think about it, if you have a long article, you can grab a lot of social media posts from phrases you have in the article there. That just helps your social media assistant. It satisfies the detailed reader. There's some people that actually want to read detailed content based on what they're looking for. There are times that you want the quick content based on what you're looking for, but at times, based on how serious it is, you want the detailed content, and this satisfies the detailed reader. It can also be repurposed into different formats. Again, just like I said, you can then turn this long article into audio by reading it, into an audio format, or you could turn it into an ebook, So there are different ways that you could repurpose all this long form content. And another thing is it helps your brand. And why I say it helps your brand is you think of it, when you have quality content out there, people then know you are actually serious about what you do. If it's just a lot of little content out there, it doesn't solidify your brand as much as having a video where people can go, wow, that person was actually on set, or, there's lights here, there's this and that. So it really helps your brand. It knows that, lets people know how serious you are. And now let's move into micro content. Now, micro content is short form quality content that can be quicker to create and consumed in less than a minute. And why I say can is because it's quicker to create, because you'll be surprised that there's some short form content that a lot of thought and time goes into. But in many instances, micro content can be quicker to create. And so examples are short video clips, memes, infographics, abstracts, GIFs, stories that you see now on Instagram, on Twitter, virtually on every social media platform there. And the benefits of micro content is it's typically quicker to create, right? You can wake up in the morning and talk about snippets of your blog on a story by just looking at the phone and giving it to your audience on your drive, So, and then you think about it, you've covered content for the day. It also lets you break down long form content in segments for better understanding. So I can listen to your whole podcast and go, wow, that's so huge, but still be overwhelmed because there's like 7, 8 things that I really want to get a better understanding of there. And what then you can do is break those down into segments that you put into small clips. So if you've talked about 7 things, you could grab one and emphasize on that on a short clip so that I could better understand, or I can also remember. Let's say you mentioned 7 services and I go, wow, they're all superb. But then if you mention one and say, hey, we have a sale on this service that I mentioned and this is what you're going to get, I get a better understanding, and it helps. It resonates more. It also provides content for consistency. And when we say consistency, it's when you do long form content, let's face it, it takes time. That's why it's long form content. So I'm sure long form content will take longer time. And then what then do you have to post on social media? So with this, you have a lot to just post from, I should say. because you could just go in your content pool of your 1,000, 2,000 word blogs and just keep posting and be consistent on your social media without being dormant, just posting the same old content. It satisfies. The next one is it satisfies the quick browser. Yes, like I said, at times, depending on what you're looking for, you might want to just browse quickly. If it's just something I want to know about quickly, I just want to browse about it. I don't need to read in detail or learn in detail about it. And this helps. And so I might need to look for something where the information is detailed, and I'll go for macro content there. And I might just want to learn something where the information, I don't need it to be detailed. I come to micro content. Now, can be aligned to form, long form content. And this is sort of like huge. Because I've seen a lot of macro and micro content videos or tutorials, and this typically isn't really mentioned there. So I think this is kind of golden because you can actually align a lot of your micro content to actually form macro content. So we will now we've talked about macro content, we've talked about micro content under this content strategy. Now we're going to talk about how we create it, organizing it, publishing it, because we're making it into a convo. It's a conversation. All right. So here we're going to do, let's combine both. Again, it's conversations for a relationship. So an example is you can shoot a 30-minute video talking about benefits that can be broken down into 6 major videos at 5 minutes each. That becomes micro content. And so over here is your macro content that you've created. This 30-minute video that then spills into all these things. You get a blog article with well over 500 words from that. You got a podcast when converted into an audio file, when all you could do is just extract the audio from the video and play it. You get tons of social media posts, because now that you have this 30-minute video, there's so much you can grab from there. You can grab stills for a picture. You can grab 4 or 5 minute clips from the video. You can grab a minute clip. You can grab text. It just gives you a whole lot. And that's why we call this a pillar of content, because there is so much you can get from that. You can use lists that can be turned into infographics and illustrations, because if you've covered those benefits, you can turn them into infographics and illustrations, and then post them again on your social media posts or put them on your website, or actually talk about them. Many short clips, just like we said over here, memes. There's just so much you can get from that. And that's using the macro content into micro. Now, let's talk about the real good one too, which is also reversing it and using the micro to make macro. So let's say you can combine you can combine many short clips and content that are in sync with another. And when I say in sync with another, we're saying that are aligned together. So for example, you can use 5 different videos on Facebook marketing covering different topics to create a book titled Marketing with Facebook. So let's say you've talked about Facebook marketing, and your first video you did was on optimization of Facebook, and your second video you did was on Facebook ads. And then the third marketing tip you gave on Facebook was on your images, putting videos and best practices of videos and images on Facebook. And your fifth one could be intro to entrepreneurs for Facebook. Now, maybe that's 4 or 5 that I've just mentioned there. Now, there are 4 or 5 videos all talking about Facebook marketing that you have out there. Well, what can you do? You can also combine these and turn those into chapters, into an ebook. You can turn that into an article. And then that becomes a macro content that you've created from short clips. So this is how you can do both of them. And now I sort of want to explain how it's a conversation for a relationship, so that now you can understand the psychology behind why it works. And also now knowing that's the psychology, how you can then spice it up more. So you think about it. This is a conversation. Let's talk about how it is a conversation. When you think of it, you have a relationship with somebody. At times, you guys have detailed conversation, whether it's your spouse, a friend, somebody at work, you stop on the way and actually have maybe a 20-minute conversation. The other times, it's just like, hi, every now and then, even with somebody you live in the house with, there are times you spend quality time together, and there are times it's just like, hey, our paths just cross, or we say something, we ask each other. And so this lets you know how it's a conversation, because if you're just doing always long form content, there probably has a tendency that you won't talk as much, but when you do talk, you'll be talking a lot. Or if you're just doing short form content, it's just that you just always have quick little things to say where people can't even wrap it around in context, right? So if you combine both, though, where at times when it's time to talk, have a detailed conversation, you have that when somebody's ready for that, or when it's time to just have a snippet conversation, you have that too, you're available for that, then you are available both ways. And that's a good way to look at it, because marketing is a conversation to your audience. And so if you think of it this way, it lets you know how then you can approach your content with that psychology, knowing I'm having a conversation with people I have a relationship with. And as a result, they will want me at times to be detailed in my conversation, and at times they just want to have snippets of what I have to offer. And so that's a good way to look at it. So I hope this helps. And when you're thinking about using macro and micro content, thinking of it as a conversation and coming up with great content strategies using this method. Hope this helps again. Take care.